We showed you last week how powerful storms May 11th dumped large amounts of rain over certain areas of Nebraska. Later in the week, temperatures dipped below freezing, causing frost damage in some of Nebraska's fields. UNL Extension educator Rees is located in Clay Center, where she estimates 25% of the county was affected by a storm May 11th, before then experiencing damaging temperatures a few days later. Crops there and likely in other areas of the state are now bearing the scars from those cool temps, as we saw when we talked with Jenny near Clay Center Wednesday morning.
So most of the corn that I had seen was either just emerging through two leaf. This corn in this field is actually a lot further along. It was planted really early. So what you'll notice is how the leaves have some burn on them, some injury just due to those plant cells rupturing due to the freeze, and then that leaf tissue will eventually die. The primary question that I'm getting right now is symptoms like this, where that basically those older leaves start dying, and they start, because of the wind we had after that, start wrapping around the new growth that's coming up through those leaves. So there's quite a few questions right now regarding, will these types of plants survive, or what do you do with these types of plants? And so what we're recommending is just to leave them alone. And what we've typically seen is how this will end up breaking off and that new growth will push through. That could take anywhere from maybe 4 days to 2 weeks, depending on how wrapped and how many leaves were wrapped.
What if the damage is worse? I mean, when would you start to make a decision about replanting in a specific field?
Okay, often we say at least wait a week before making that decision. What we'd also like producers to do is go ahead and split open these stems. The growing point in corn is below ground up till 6 leaves. And so when you split open these stems, like I've done in these 2 plants here, what you see is, what you're looking for is that growing point down here. You want it to be hard or firm. You want it to look a yellowish white color.
You were looking at some of the buggy whipped corn. Is there any data or research to push you in a certain way?
Okay, so Dr. Roger Elmore, when he was in Nebraska early in the 90s, what he had done is looked at fields which had severe frost injury around 3-leaf stage. They looked at doing nothing to the plants, clipping the plants, or replanting. And basically it depended on the level of the severity of how much defoliation occurred. But what they found is actually doing anything to the plants, such as clipping, caused for a bacteria to get in the plants as well. And so that wouldn't be something that we would advise. We'd recommend either just leaving the plants as they are or consider replanting. But look at those charts on the CropWatch webpage regarding what % stand you have and what's your chances for yield based on replanting date.
Are there more concerns about disease issues in this corn later on in the season?
I'm concerned about some disease issues. What we saw last year from the tornado that went through the Edgar area in this part of the state was that corn that was hit around V2, by V6 we were starting to see Goss's wilt. And that was regardless if that hybrid had resistance to Goss's wilt or not. And so that's of concern to me as we go forward. We'd encourage our producers to scout their fields. What we noticed is that fields that were planted at 30 to 32,000 plants per acre, they were reduced down to, let's say, 25, 26,000 by harvest. So it was a continual slow death due to Goss's wilt.
Should farmers think about applying nitrogen any differently in these fields?
That's a question that we're getting a lot right now. We're going to have an article on this week's CropWatch at cropwatch.unl.edu regarding which herbicides and which ones you can apply UAN with and not post-emergence to corn, as well as considering freeze damage and the potential for further burn on these already injured plants.
Moving on to soybeans, what kind of damage are you seeing there, and what are the options based off of it?
Okay, so for the soybeans, most of our soybeans weren't emerged at that time, so hopefully they were okay. The ones that were emerged, either I was seeing the hypocotyl hook, where it pulls the cotyledons up, was exposed, or the cotyledons were exposed as well. In some cases, a few leaves were, depending on when they were planted. What producers want to look for is the new buds in between the cotyledons, and if they look green and if they're healthy and growing, then those plants will survive. It's surprising, I think, how well the soybeans look after this frost.
And finally, wheat. What does wheat look like?
Okay, so for wheat, what we're looking for is The wheat was primarily in this area of the state in the flag leaf to boot stage, which was good that the heads weren't exposed for the most part. Producers should look, if it was 28 degrees or above, they should be okay for 28 degrees for 2 hours. What they should look for is for slitting open those stems, looking at that head, and if they're white in color, any of the heads are white in color, or that would indicate sterile florets. They may see some problems with that head coming out of the stem, and also look at the base of the stems if they're popped open or if there's any issues there as well.
For more information on this topic, you can visit the Crop Watch website, which also features an article on crop insurance information for replant decisions.